Hey, this is Katrina from inkatwetrust, and I am bringing you another movie review. This time, I am reviewing the movie The Amateur, starring Malek and Laurence Fishburne. I hope I said Rami's last name right. Apologies if I did not. But before I give you my review and opinions and thoughts on this movie, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And so, if you also don't want spoilers, there'll be a little bit of them. Please skip to the towards the end of the video where you'll just have my overall review, so nothing is spoiled for you. But anyway, I was invited yesterday to an early screening of The Amateur in New York City. Super awesome to be there. And so we got to see the movie. I took a friend with me. We went, had a great time. This movie was absolutely like I loved it. I feel like this was kind of like an action, but not action. And I want to say, like, maybe with a little bit of thriller thrown into it. And so the basic premise is Rami's character is a man who works at the CIA. I think his name is Charlie, if I'm not mistaken. He works at the CIA. He does a lot of tech stuff. Apparently, he's the guy who basically designed all of their tech type of things they use for operations, day to day, etc. And so his wife leaves in the beginning of the movie, have to take a trip to London for her job, and he didn't get a chance to speak to her. And then he thought maybe she was sleeping, and then he found out the next day that she was murdered in some kind of terrorist type of situation where she was taken hostage. And so, what I really did appreciate about this movie is Rami's character. He, the grief, I felt like this was a very realistic portrayal of somebody grieving. There's the stages of grief, but this is very beginning. He loved his wife. It was very obvious they loved each other. Very, very obvious. And, he's grieving. And so he goes to his, the heads of CIA to ask them to, help him get the killers who killed his wife. They tell him a bunch of hoopla and some BS. And he decides to find the information himself, which he finds pretty quickly. And then he finds some information from the CIA that apparently they doctored some documents about an incident or incidents that has happened, and they lied about exactly what happened, and he was able to basically kind of hold it as a bit of blackmail to get what he wanted, which in turn was to get these killers. And so what I did like about it is, he did go to Lawrence Fishburne's character to train to get better. And Lawrence Fishburne's character basically was like, well, you're not a killer. Like, you don't have that in you, and it's fine. But there were things he did know how to do. So we fast forward, and he does find the killers. He had a help from a woman who he spoke to, like, online, like through the chat early in the movie, and she lost her husband as well, with the CIA. So, she was agreed to help him. But he basically got these guys in such smart ways. He used the information he had, he used the tech that he was able to create. At one point, he had like some deep fakes all over the world to kind of get where he needed to get to without being spotted. I thought it was actually very well done. I am all for a good action movie. You think of like a Jason Statham movie where it's action, action, action. But this was like there was some action and there was moments where there was fighting, but he used his brains. He was a very smart man, very quiet man, very humble man, it appeared. And then the wife dying kind of, I felt, triggered something in him. And so, all the things he did to get back at the guys who killed his wife, I was cheering for personally, because let's not, you doing shenanigans or doing stuff that hurts somebody else. Or basically, what he kept saying was she wasn't disposable, and her name was Sarah, and that Sarah meant something. He kept saying that Sarah was somebody, she meant something, and she wasn't somebody that you guys could just kill and go on about your lives. And I love that aspect of not only kind of taking it back to the government for doing certain things that they shouldn't necessarily do, and that is not the right thing to do. But just again, I thought his grief and everything he was processing was just so genuine. I felt like he really was struggling with the fact that his wife, was gone. I think there was a line, John Halls, in the movie as well, and he sees him later in the movie, and he said he can't go home because she's not there, and that hit me like hard. I did lose a spouse before, and so that level of like just grieving and trying to process of like, and in her case, it was a horrible way to go, obviously way before her time. But this was an absolutely fantastic movie. Again, there is some action. There's definitely a lot of puzzles and stuff in regards to how his character was, and moments where he basically was just using his smarts, his brains, and I love that. And so if I'm rating this movie, I'm giving it a 5 out of 5 stars. I absolutely loved it. I will definitely be going again to take friends or take my family to see it, just because I really enjoyed it. And It's very rare for me to give like a perfect score on movies, but I just thought it was really well done. I thought they did a really good job and I did appreciate it. So, with that being said, that is my review for The Amateur. If you have seen it early like I did, or when you see it, please don't forget to tell me in the comments your thoughts about it, your feelings about it. I will get back to you. And as always, thank you so much for hanging out with me. I appreciate all of you and I love you all. And until next time, I'll catch you later. Bye.